Jax's revenge domain.
There's a specific sound that 500,000 volts makes when it's about to kill you. It's not a buzz or a hum, it's a growl. Deep, angry, like a caged animal that's found an opening. I was standing 40 feet from the main transformer bank at Wheeler Industries when I heard it. The sound meant one thing: cascade failure in 3, maybe 4 hours. I'm Mason Rodriguez, 47 years old, and I've been working high voltage for 23 years. I know these systems like other men know their wives. Every vibration, every temperature shift, every electrical pulse tells me a story. This particular story was about to cost Wheeler Industries everything. I pulled out my thermal imaging camera and pointed it at the transformer array. The screen lit up like Christmas, but not the good kind. Hot spots glowed angry red where they should have been cool blue. The new smart transformers Marcus Jr. had insisted on installing were running 85 degrees over normal temperature. That's not just dangerous, that's suicidal. Marcus Wheeler Jr. He used to call me Uncle Mason when he was 16, learning to read electrical schematics during summer internships. I taught him how to check voltage, how to respect the equipment, how to understand that electricity doesn't care about your schedule or your budget. It just obeys physics, and physics can kill you. Now he was 28, fresh MBA and the heir apparent to Wheeler Industries. His father, Frank Sr., had built this company from nothing 45 years ago, creating some of the finest electrical infrastructure equipment in the country. We had contracts with the Department of Energy, major utilities, defense contractors. This wasn't some small-time operation. This was American manufacturing at its best, or it used to be. I climbed down from the inspection platform and headed to the main office. The readings I'd just taken weren't just concerning, they were terrifying. Those transformers were part of a $75 million smart grid project for 3 western states. If they failed, we weren't talking about a factory going dark. We were talking about entire cities losing power, hospitals running on backup generators, traffic control systems dead. The morning air was crisp, carrying the smell of machine oil and ozone that always hung around high-voltage equipment. I'd been coming to work at Wheeler Industries for over 2 decades, and the place felt like a second home, or it had until Marcus Jr. started making changes. The kid had good intentions, I'll give him that. When he graduated business school and joined the company full-time, he was full of ideas about efficiency and modernization. He talked about lean manufacturing, just-in-time delivery, and cost optimization like they were religious concepts. And maybe they worked in other industries, but electricity doesn't negotiate with spreadsheets. I walked past the production floor where we built transformers that kept the lights on across America. The workers were already at their stations, welding, wiring, testing. Good people, most of them. People I'd trained or worked alongside for years. They trusted the equipment they were building because they trusted the processes I'd helped develop. But Marcus Jr. had been changing those processes. 3 months ago, he'd called a meeting to discuss operational improvements. That's corporate speak for finding ways to cut costs. He'd brought in consultants guys in expensive suits who'd never held a wrench to analyze our manufacturing methods. Their report recommended reducing the thermal safety margins on our transformer designs to make them more competitive on government bids. I'd objected. Loudly. Those safety margins aren't suggestions, I'd told the room full of executives and consultants. They're the difference between equipment that lasts 30 years and equipment that burns down a power grid. Marcus Jr. had smiled that patient smile he'd learned in business school, the one that said he was humoring an old man who didn't understand modern business practices. Uncle Mason, I appreciate your conservative approach, but we're competing against companies that are building lighter, more efficient systems. We can't afford to over-engineer everything when our competitors are finding smarter solutions. Smarter solutions. That's what he called cutting corners. But Frank Sr. had backed his son, and the board had approved the changes. Reduced cooling capacity, extended monitoring intervals, thinner insulation specifications. Little changes that saved money on paper, but created cascading risks in the real world. I documented my concerns in writing, sent emails, filed formal objections with the engineering department, all ignored or dismissed as resistance to innovation. Now, 3 months later, I was looking at the inevitable result of those optimizations. The first production units were overheating during basic load testing. The thermal management system couldn't handle the reduced cooling capacity. The insulation was breaking down faster than the monitoring systems could detect. Marcus Jr. was in his corner office, the one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the production floor. He was wearing a tailored suit that probably cost more than my truck, staring at multiple monitors showing efficiency metrics and cost projections. Everything was numbers to him. Everything was data points and profit margins. I knocked on his open door. Marcus, we need to talk. He didn't look up from his screens. If it's about the production schedule, we're already behind. I need those transformer units shipped by Friday for the Nevada installation. I walked into his office and set the thermal camera on his desk. the hotspots still glowing on the screen. Look at this. Look at these readings. Marcus glanced at the screen, then back to his computer. What am I looking at? Thermal overload. The new transformer design is running too hot. The cooling systems aren't adequate for the load specifications. We need to shut down production and redesign the cooling systems. Now I had his attention. He leaned back in his leather chair, the one his father used to sit in when he still ran day-to-day operations. Shut down production? Mason, we're talking about a government contract. There are penalties for delays. We ship on schedule or we lose $20 million in future business. I picked up the camera and pointed to the worst hotspot. You see this temperature reading? This is metal expanding beyond safe limits. When this fails, and it will fail, it's not going to be a gentle shutdown, it's going to be an explosion. Those transformers will cascade, taking out the entire grid section they're connected to. Marcus stood up, straightening his tie. The gesture was pure Frank Sr., but the attitude was all MBA. Uncle Mason, I appreciate your concern. I really do. But this is 2024, not 1999. We have monitoring systems now, we have predictive analytics. We have sensors that can detect problems before they happen. I'm detecting the problem right now. With 23 years of experience in this thermal camera, and I have engineers with advanced degrees in computer models that say we're within acceptable parameters. I felt my jaw tighten. Computer models don't account for heat buildup in real-world conditions. Computer models don't factor in the temperature swings from day-night cycles in desert installations. Computer models assume perfect installation and perfect maintenance, neither of which exist in the real world. Marcus walked around his desk and put his hand on my shoulder. The gesture felt condescending, like he was humoring an old man. Mason, you taught me everything I know about this business. You really did. But you taught me the basics. I've learned the rest. I've studied systems integration and smart grid technology. I know things you never had the chance to learn. That stung. Not because it was harsh, but because it was dismissive. 23 years of field experience reduced to the basics. Those basics keep people alive, I said. And innovation keeps companies profitable, Marcus replied. Look, I understand your concern. But we've run every simulation. We've stress-tested the designs. We've optimized for efficiency and cost-effectiveness. Your methods worked great for the 1990s, but this is a new era. We can't be held back by old-school thinking. Old-school thinking. That's what he called safety protocols. I tried a different approach. Let me show you something. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to a photo from 15 years ago. A substation in Arizona, twisted metal and charred concrete. This was a transformer explosion in Phoenix. Same basic design as what we're building, just older technology. The blast crater was 30 feet across. It took out 3 city blocks and killed 2 linemen. Marcus looked at the photo, then handed my phone back. That's exactly my point. Old technology. We've improved the designs. We've added safety features. You've removed safety margins to hit price targets. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Marcus's expression shifted from patronizing to cold. Excuse me, I've seen the specification changes. The cooling capacity was reduced by 15% to save costs. The thermal monitoring intervals were increased from real-time to every 30 minutes to reduce data processing overhead. You've taken a robust design and made it fragile to win a government bid. Marcus walked back behind his desk. When he spoke, his voice was different. Not the nephew I taught, but the MBA who decided I was a liability. Mason, I'm going to be very clear with you. This company is moving forward with or without you. We're implementing modern manufacturing techniques, modern monitoring systems, and modern business practices. If you can't adapt to that reality, then maybe it's time you considered retirement. Are you firing me? I'm giving you a choice. You can sign off on the production schedule and the shipping manifest, or you can clean out your locker. But you're not going to hold up a $75 million contract because you don't trust computer simulations. I looked at him across that big mahogany desk in that expensive suit with those multiple monitors showing profit projections. He wasn't the kid I'd taught anymore. He was just another MBA who thought he could optimize his way around physics. I won't sign off on equipment I know is dangerous, I said. Then you're fired. The words hung in the air between us. 23 years of service, 23 years of perfect safety record. 23 years of building the reputation that got Wheeler Industries those government contracts in the first place. You're making a mistake, Marcus. The only mistake I'm making is letting sentimentality drag this conversation out longer than necessary. Security will escort you out. I didn't wait for security. I walked out of that office, past the reception desk where Sarah had been answering phones for 15 years, past the engineering department where I'd trained half the staff, past the production floor where we built equipment that kept the lights on across America. My hands were steady as I packed my personal tools, 23 years of accumulated gear, my calibrated meters, my testing equipment, my specialized wrenches. Everything else belonged to Wheeler Industries, including the institutional knowledge they apparently didn't value anymore. The other workers watched quietly as I loaded my truck. Most of them had learned their trade from me or worked under my supervision. They knew what my firing meant. If Wheeler Industries could throw away Mason Rodriguez over safety concerns, nobody's job was secure. As I closed the tailgate, I saw Frank Sr. walking across the parking lot from the executive building. He was 72 now, moving slower than he used to, but still sharp. Still the man who'd hired me straight out of trade school and taught me that reputation mattered more than quarterly profits. "Mason," he called out. "I heard what happened. Your son made his decision," I said, wiping my hands on a rag. Frank looked tired. Deep lines around his eyes that hadn't been there a year ago. He thinks he knows better than everyone else these days. MBA from Wharton, consultants telling him how to streamline operations. I've been trying to let him run things, let him prove himself. He's going to prove something. All right, how bad is it really? The transformer issue? I looked back at the factory, at the production lines running at full capacity, building equipment with fatal flaws. Workers who trusted the processes I'd helped develop were assembling units that would fail in the field. Those units will fail within 60 days of installation. When they do, it won't be a maintenance issue. It'll be national news. Frank was quiet for a long moment, staring at the building that represented his life's work. "Can you document your concerns? Put together a technical report?" I tried. "Your son called it old school thinking. Email me everything you have. Technical specs, thermal readings, failure projections, everything." I nodded and climbed into my truck. The engine turned over with a familiar rumble, a sound I'd heard every morning for 23 years driving to Wheeler Industries. Tomorrow I'd be driving somewhere else. "Frank, I hope I'm wrong about this, but I've been doing this too long to be wrong about something this basic." Frank stepped back from the truck. "I should have listened to you more, should have overruled him. You still can. He's my son, Mason. And he's the future of this company. I have to let him make his own mistakes. This mistake is going to cost you everything you built." I drove out of the Wheeler Industries parking lot for what I thought would be the last time. In my rearview mirror, I could see Frank still standing there, an old man watching his legacy drive away in a pickup truck. That was Wednesday afternoon. Thursday and Friday passed quietly. I spent the time in my garage organizing tools and updating my resume. At 47, finding a new job wasn't going to be easy. Most companies want younger guys they can pay less and work harder. The industry was changing, favoring computer modeling over field experience, efficiency over safety. But I'd been around long enough to know that physics doesn't care about business plans. Electricity follows the laws of thermodynamics, not the laws of supply and demand, and those transformer units Marcus Jr. was so eager to ship were time bombs waiting for the right conditions to explode. Monday morning, my phone rang while I was having coffee and reading the want ads. It was Jerry Martinez, my old contact at the Department of Energy. We'd worked together on several grid modernization projects over the years, and he was one of the few government engineers who understood the difference between theoretical specifications and real-world performance. "Mason, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me. Are you familiar with the Wheeler Industries smart transformer array scheduled for installation in Nevada next week?" My stomach dropped, the Nevada installation. Marcus Jr. had been pushing to get those units shipped on schedule, the same units I'd flagged for thermal problems. "Yeah, I'm familiar with it. We're seeing some concerning preliminary reports from our field inspection team. Temperature irregularities during pre-installation testing. The on-site engineers are saying everything's within normal parameters, but the readings look off to me. I wanted to get a second opinion from someone I trust." I chose my words carefully. Jerry didn't know I'd been fired, and I wasn't sure how much I should reveal about Wheeler Industries' internal problems. "Jerry, I can't comment on Wheeler Industries equipment. I no longer work there. Since when? Since last Wednesday." There was a long pause. I could almost hear the gears turning in Jerry's head. In the government contracting world, senior technical personnel don't just leave companies in the middle of major projects unless something's seriously wrong. That's interesting timing. "Mason, I'm going to ask you directly. Is that equipment safe?" The question hung between us like a live wire. If I said yes, I'd be lying. If I said no, I might be violating confidentiality agreements, but Jerry wasn't asking as a government bureaucrat. He was asking as an engineer who knew that people's lives depended on the equipment we installed. If I were still working there, I would not have signed off on those units. "Son of a bitch," Jerry muttered. "I'm pulling the installation permit pending a full technical review. That's probably wise. Can you come in for a consultation?" "Off the record, just to help our engineers understand what they're looking at. I'll be there this afternoon." The Department of Energy building in downtown Denver was all glass and concrete, the kind of place where serious people made serious decisions about serious problems. Jerry met me in the lobby, looking older than I remembered, but still carrying himself like the Navy engineer he'd been before joining DUE. We went up to the technical analysis lab, where 3 government engineers were huddled around computer monitors, showing thermal imaging data, stress analysis reports, and installation specifications. The thermal readings looked even worse than what I'd captured at the Wheeler factory. "Gentlemen," Jerry said, "this is Mason Rodriguez, formerly lead technical specialist at Wheeler Industries. Mason, meet our regional grid analysis team." For the next 2 hours, I walked them through everything: the design changes Marcus Jr. had implemented, the cost optimizations that compromised safety margins, the thermal load calculations that had been ignored, the cooling system inadequacies. I showed them my original thermal readings and explained why the computer models were missing critical real-world factors. The government engineers asked sharp questions. They understood the technical implications immediately. These weren't business school graduates trying to optimize spreadsheets. These were people who knew that when electrical infrastructure fails, people die. "Mr. Rodriguez," one of the engineers said, "based on your analysis, what's the failure timeline for these units under full load conditions?" I did the math in my head, factoring in desert temperatures, load cycling, and thermal expansion rates. Best case scenario, 45 days. Worst case, 3 weeks. And the failure mode, catastrophic. When the first unit goes, it'll create a voltage spike that cascades through the array. You'll lose the entire transformer bank and potentially damage the connected transmission lines. The room went quiet. Jerry was taking notes, but he looked grim. "We need to red flag this entire installation," he said finally, "and we need to audit Wheeler Industries' quality control processes." That was Tuesday. Wednesday morning, the story broke. I was in my kitchen, checking job listings online, when my phone started buzzing with news alerts. Federal investigation launched into critical infrastructure equipment. Major electrical contractor under DOE review. Government halts $75 million grid modernization project. By noon, it was national news. By evening, it was a scandal. Some reporter had dug up the fact that I'd been fired just days before the federal investigation began. The narrative wrote itself. Whistleblower terminated for raising safety concerns. My phone rang constantly. Reporters, lawyers, former colleagues. I didn't answer any of them. This wasn't about publicity or vindication. This was about preventing a disaster that could have blacked out half the western United States. The news coverage was brutal for Wheeler Industries. Government questioned safety of critical infrastructure equipment. Electrical contractor fired safety expert days before federal investigation. Department of Energy halts multi-state power grid project. I felt bad for Frank Sr. He'd built Wheeler Industries on a reputation for quality and reliability. 45 years of careful work was being undone by his son's cost-cutting measures and my very public firing. But I felt worse for the workers on the production floor, the guys who trusted the processes I'd helped develop. They were assembling equipment based on specifications they assumed were safe. They didn't know that Marcus Jr. had traded safety margins for profit margins. Thursday afternoon, Frank Sr. called. "Mason, I need you to come in. We need to talk." I looked out my kitchen window at the gray February sky. "I don't think that's a good idea, Frank. Marcus is gone. Terminated this morning. The board voted no confidence. I'm back in charge until we sort this mess out." The words hit me like a physical blow. Marcus Jr., the heir apparent who was going to modernize Wheeler Industries and drag it into the 21st century, had been fired by his own father. Where is he now? Lawyer's office. The Justice Department is talking about criminal negligence charges, endangering critical infrastructure. He could be looking at federal prison time. I sat down heavily at my kitchen table. This wasn't how I'd wanted things to go. I'd never wanted to destroy Marcus Jr.'s career or see him face criminal charges. I just wanted the equipment to be safe. "The board wants you back," Frank continued. "Chief Technical Officer, full authority over all engineering decisions." What Marcus should have been if he'd had your experience instead of his arrogance. What about the federal investigation? They want our full cooperation. They want our technical records, our quality control processes, and our senior engineering staff to review everything we've built in the last 2 years. They specifically asked for you by name. I was quiet for a moment, thinking about the kid who used to call me Uncle Mason, who was so eager to learn about circuit theory and load calculations. Somewhere along the way, that curiosity had been replaced by spreadsheets and optimization algorithms. "I'll come in," I said finally. "But I want complete authority over technical decisions. No business school graduate overruling engineering on safety issues. Done. And I want a safety review of every system we've installed in the last 5 years. If there are other problems out there, I want to find them before they find us. Whatever you need." We shook hands across that old desk, the same way we had 23 years earlier, but this time felt different. This time, I wasn't just an employee. I was the keeper of institutional knowledge that had almost been lost to quarterly profit targets and modern management theory. The next 6 months were a whirlwind of damage control and rebuilding. The federal investigation was thorough and unforgiving. DOE engineers crawled through every specification, every design change, every cost optimization Marcus Jr. had implemented. They found problems I hadn't even discovered yet. The Nevada installation was canceled completely. The existing units were recalled and scrapped at a cost of $12 million. We started over with the original designs, the ones I developed before Marcus Jr.'s improvements. It was expensive, but it was safe. The media attention was intense but fair. Most reporters understood the technical issues once we explained them. The story wasn't about corporate greed or family drama. It was about the fundamental tension between safety and profit in critical infrastructure, and what happens when business school theory collides with engineering reality. Marcus Jr. pled guilty to criminal negligence and received 18 months in federal prison. His MBA and his optimization theories didn't help him much in court. The prosecutor called his decisions reckless endangerment of critical infrastructure motivated by corporate greed. I felt no satisfaction watching him led away in handcuffs. He wasn't evil, just arrogant. He genuinely believed that modern management techniques could improve on decades of engineering experience. He'd learned the hard way that electricity doesn't care about your business plan. Frank Sr. officially retired 6 months after bringing me back, leaving me to run the technical side while the board handled business operations. We rebuilt Wheeler Industries on the principles that made it successful in the first place: quality, safety, and respect for the physics that govern electrical systems. The workers on the production floor seemed relieved to have me back. They'd been nervous about the changes Marcus Jr. had implemented, but they hadn't felt comfortable questioning the boss's son. Now they knew their concerns would be heard and addressed. We implemented new safety protocols that went beyond federal requirements. Every design change had to be approved by both engineering and field operations. Computer models were tools, not replacements for human judgment, and anyone from the newest apprentice to senior management could halt production if they identified a safety issue. The government contracts came back gradually. The Department of Energy was impressed with our comprehensive response to the investigation. Other utilities heard about our commitment to safety over profit and wanted to work with us. Wheeler Industries' reputation, damaged by Marcus Jr.'s cost-cutting, was stronger than ever. I hired carefully, looking for people who understood that electrical work isn't just about following procedures. It's about respecting the power you're dealing with and never forgetting that shortcuts in high-voltage systems can kill people. Experience mattered more than degrees. Wisdom mattered more than optimization algorithms. One afternoon, about a year after the investigation, I was reviewing specifications for a new transformer design when my phone rang. It was Jerry Martinez from Duo. "Mason, I wanted to give you a heads up. We're announcing new safety standards for critical infrastructure equipment next week. Mandatory thermal monitoring, enhanced cooling requirements, extended testing protocols. Basically, we're codifying everything you taught us during the investigation." "About time," I said. "The industry's not happy. They're calling it overregulation, unnecessary costs, competitive disadvantage." The usual complaints, let them complain. Better than explaining to Congress why half the Western grid went dark because someone wanted to save 5% on manufacturing costs. Exactly. Your name's going to be on the acknowledgments page of the technical standards document. Special thanks to Mason Rodriguez for his expertise and dedication to electrical infrastructure safety. After I hung up, I walked out to the production floor. The workers were assembling a new generation of transformers built to specifications that prioritize reliability over cost optimization. These units would run for 30 years without major maintenance, powering cities and keeping the lights on for millions of people. I thought about Marcus Jr., probably getting out of federal prison soon and trying to rebuild his career. I hoped he'd learn something from the experience. The business world was full of second chances for people with connections and education. He'd land on his feet somewhere, probably telling a different story about what went wrong at Wheeler Industries, but I knew the truth. The kid who used to call me Uncle Mason had forgotten the most important lesson I tried to teach him. Electricity doesn't care about your MBA. It doesn't care about your profit projections or your optimization algorithms. It only cares about physics, and physics always wins in the end. Frank Sr. stopped by the factory occasionally, mostly to check on how things were going. He looked healthier now that he wasn't carrying the stress of watching his son destroy everything he'd built. Sometimes he'd walk the production floor with me, pointing out improvements and asking technical questions like he used to when I was young. "You saved the company," he told me one day. "I just did my job," I replied. No, you did more than that. You stood up for what was right, even when it cost you everything. That's not just doing your job, that's having principles. The sound of 500,000 volts about to cascade is something you learn to recognize after 23 years in this business. It's the sound of shortcuts coming home to roost, of safety margins pushed too far, of experience dismissed in favor of theories that work great on paper but fall apart in the real world. Marcus Jr. never learned to hear that sound. That's why he's rebuilding his career from nothing, and that's why Wheeler Industries almost died with his ambitions. I hear it just fine. It's my job to hear it, to respect it, and to make sure the people I work with understand that when high voltage speaks, you listen. Because the alternative isn't just lost profits or failed contracts. The alternative is disaster. Here's what I learned and what I want you to take away from this. First, your experience has value, even when younger people with impressive credentials try to tell you otherwise. The things you've learned from decades in your field can't be replaced by computer models or business school theories. Trust your expertise. Second, safety isn't negotiable. Whether you're working with high voltage or just trying to do the right thing in your job, don't let anyone pressure you into cutting corners that put people at risk. When someone asks you to compromise your professional standards, the answer is no. Finally, stand your ground. When you know you're right about something important, don't back down just because the person disagreeing with you has more authority or education. Experience and integrity matter more than titles and degrees. The truth has a way of proving itself, usually when it's too late for the people who ignored it. Don't let anyone tell you that your knowledge is obsolete just because it's not the newest trend. Physics doesn't update with the latest software release.